Hello, and welcome. Tonight we travel behind the fame, beyond the cameras, into a quiet living room where a woman once knelt beside her husband as he gripped his chest in pain. Not a nurse, not a doctor, just his wife. Janet, you probably won't survive this without a few deep breaths, because this isn't a Hollywood fantasy. This is what it takes to last 63 years with someone whose whole life has been public, even when it was falling apart. Before we begin, if these stories resonate with you, feel free to like the video and subscribe, only if it truly speaks to your heart. Let us know where you're watching from and what time it is. We love seeing where this family stretches. Let the room grow quiet, the lights grow soft, and together, we'll drift into this evening's story, slow and steady. You're 20 years old, broke, and in a foreign country. You spot a woman across a university campus in New York. She doesn't smile. She stares back at you, unblinking. You could pretend it's not destiny, but you'd be lying. Janet was studying art. You were studying her. You marry her after 4 months. Not because it made sense, but because it didn't. That's how Martin Sheen's greatest role began. He wasn't Martin yet. He was Ramon. The name change came later, with guilt and a permanent ache in the spine of his identity. Hollywood was allergic to anything ethnic back then. That's not opinion. It's 1960s casting history. And still, Janet stood beside him. Not guiding, not rescuing, just staying. To this day, folks still wonder how a love that intense, that impulsive, didn't burn itself out. Maybe because she never tried to outshine him. Or maybe because she never let him forget who he was before the world called him a star. She's never been one for red carpets. While your peers brought dates to premieres, Janet stayed home, unless it mattered. That wasn't shyness, it was strategy. She knew fame was a room filled with smoke and mirrors, and she didn't need to breathe any of it in. You'd do an interview on Johnny Carson, and she'd be folding laundry 2 rooms away, sipping chamomile tea, rolling her eyes at the applause. You'd call her your savior in later years. The one who saved your life, literally. It was 1977, and you were filming Apocalypse Now in the Philippines. Heat stroke, hallucinations, and then collapse. A full-blown heart attack. The jungle swallowed the sound of you falling, but Janet heard it across the ocean. She flew out, stood by your bed, and refused to let the doctors push her away. Again, not a nurse, not a doctor, just a wife who knew your pulse better than any machine. When the priest arrived for last rites, she didn't flinch. She told him to leave. You weren't dying on her watch. That story became legend among crews. But to this day, folks still wonder, was it just love? Or something deeper, fiercer, older than language? A bond that didn't care about death, only presence. Here's a fun historical tidbit. While you were sweating through war scenes in Southeast Asia, back home Star Wars had just debuted. Hollywood was dreaming of galaxies far, far away. But your wife was rooted in something painfully close, holding your hand in a Manila hospital room, while the lights buzzed and your breath slowed. She didn't ask for credit. She just asked that you come home, not famous, not heroic. The problem with survival is, it doesn't come with instructions. After the heart attack, the movie wrapped, but the war inside your body and mind. Didn't you return home, thinner, shakier, more prone to silence? And Janet, she didn't give you some grand speech. She handed you a dish towel and said, "Dry." That was her magic. She didn't pull you out of the darkness by force. She lit a candle and waited for you to see it. You tried therapy. You tried prayer. You tried pretending you were fine. Janet tried none of that. She kept cooking dinner. She kept asking if you took your pills. She bought a rocking chair for the porch and dared you to sit in it for 10 minutes without spiraling into a monologue about Catholic guilt or casting calls. You lost the dare every time. To this day, folks still wonder why she stayed so still while you spiraled so loud. Maybe she knew something Hollywood didn't. Stillness doesn't mean weakness. It means strength and reserve. A lesser-known tidbit. Martin Sheen, real name Ramon Estevez, almost quit acting after Apocalypse Now. Not because of failure, because of fear. And it was Janet who said, "You're not finished. You're healing." She was the only critic whose reviews mattered. Historically, 1970s Hollywood wasn't kind to aging actors, much less ones with breakdowns. You were supposed to hide your struggles behind tuxedos and talk shows. Janet said no. She said talk about it, make it useful, and so you did. The camera gave you a career. Janet gave you a conscience. That difference, it's everything. She made sure your spotlight didn't blind you, it just warmed you. Some call that luck. You've always called it marriage. You start working again, slowly. A few TV films. A voice that doesn't tremble so much. A heart that doesn't stutter with every loud noise. But Hollywood isn't patient. It wants the shiny version of you, not the scraped-up one held together by your wife's faith in chicken soup. Janet doesn't care. She thinks the shine was overrated anyway. She keeps things real. You win an award, she reminds you to unclog the bathtub. You land the West Wing, she asks if you remembered to pick up the dry cleaning. It's not because she doesn't care, it's because she does. She refuses to let your head float so high, it forgets where the ground is. You're her husband first, her partner, not her project. Here's something most people don't know. Janet wrote poetry, quiet, tender little things she never tried to publish. She said they were for her sanity. One line you never forgot. He walks among echoes, but I am the sound. You keep that one in a drawer. On paper, she wasn't the artist, but she created the space where art could survive. In 1989, while others chased tabloid headlines, you and Janet were chasing grandkids around the backyard. She wore gardening gloves to your Emmy party. Not to make a point, just because she forgot to take them off. That's the kind of woman who saves a man, not by fixing him, but by refusing to treat him like he's broken. To this day, folks still debate how you lasted. Hollywood marriages have expiration dates measured in premieres. Yours stretched across 6 decades because Janet never auditioned for the role of star's wife. She wrote her own part, one of stillness, substance, and steady fire. You wake up in the quiet now. No call sheets. No flashing lights. Just the rustle of the paper Janet still reads with her tea. Her eyes crinkled the same way they did back in Dayton, before the world knew your name. And it hits you. The greatest part you ever played was never on a soundstage. It was being her husband, and trying, failing, and trying again to deserve that title. There's an old photo on the fridge. Not a red carpet shot, not a magazine cover. Just you two, windblown and grinning. Somewhere in Spain in the 80s, you'd just gotten lost on the way to a monastery. And Janet had pulled out a paper map while you swore the road signs were flirting with you. That's the marriage. Not the highlight reels, but the detours, the dead ends, the laughter in the lot. You remember the heart attack now with a kind of awe. Not for how close it came, but for what it revealed. That even when your body broke, your bond didn't. Janet stayed, not like a nurse, like a lighthouse. And when you staggered back toward yourself, it was her light you followed. There's no Oscar for that. No Lifetime Achievement Award handed to the woman who held the house together while the man fell apart. But if there were, Janet would have shelves full. To this day, folks still wonder why you always tear up when you talk about her, as if it's a mystery. As if love like that doesn't leave a scar from the inside out. 63 years together. Not because it was easy, but because she believed in you more than you did, and refused to let go. So now, as the lights dim in your mind, and the last reel of memory spins to a gentle halt, you find yourself right back where you began, next to the woman who never asked for applause, who never needed a script. Just you, her, and the silence that doesn't need to be filled. Breathe in the warmth of a love that didn't chase headlines but held history. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath slow. You've made it. You're home. If this story warmed your heart or reminded you of your own journey, we'd be honored if you gave it a like and subscribed to stay with us for more gentle tales made just for you. Take care of yourself, rest easy, and may tomorrow bring peace, warmth, and maybe even a good laugh. Good night, dear friends.